Hi, my name's Liz and I'm a guide at Hearst Castle. William Randolph Hearst was the creator of the largest media empire in the world. He also was a builder and an art collector who amassed more than 20,000 objects for his estate in San Simeon. Much of Mr. Hearst's art came from the Gothic and Renaissance periods and is religious and reverent in nature. But Hearst Castle has a fun side as well. Today I'm going to show you 3 different objects that reflect a more whimsical side of Hearst Castle. These are not only unique objects, but they brought special meaning either to the artist himself or to those who received the art. Our first example is found in the Doge's suite and comes from the Renaissance period. The south bedroom of the Doge's suite features a 16th century Italian needlepoint armorial textile. In the center is the coat of arms for the Gonzaga family. The Gonzagas were the counts of Novarella, and one of the branches ruled in Mantua in Italy for more than 300 years. This family consisted of 12 cardinals, 14 bishops, 2 empresses of the Holy Roman Empire, a queen of Poland, and a saint, Saint Aloysius, the patron saint of caregivers. The Gonzagas were a very powerful and influential family, and one would expect that their armorial textile would reflect their status. At first glance, this seems to be the case, as the shield is surrounded by a floral motif. However, upon closer examination, one begins to find animals hidden within, both real and fantasy. There are dogs, monkeys eating fruit, birds, winged serpents, smiling snakes, lions, and griffins. The leaves and flower background provide the perfect camouflage for these animals. This textile has another surprise as well. In addition to the family crest at the center, each border also features an armorial shield. And the positioning of those shields tell us that this was not at all meant to be a wall hanging, but rather a decorative tablecloth. Imagine being a child during the Renaissance and sitting at that table. This would have been a Renaissance version of a Find the Hidden Object activity. Now, not all of Mr. Hearst's art came from the past, and not all of it came from auctions and art galleries. Some of the items were made specifically for San Simeon and Mr. Hearst for use at Hearst Castle, and we can find an example of this at the entrance gates to Casa del Sol. The entrance gates to Casa del Sol were created by ornamental ironworker Ed Trinkeller. Mr. Trinkeller was responsible for much of the decorative metalwork on the hill, and these gates are considered to be one of his masterpieces. Ed Trinkeller used a method called repoussé, which meant that he hammered the images into the metal from the back. Each gate features 26 faces done in profile in comic form. Sometimes visitors will ask, do these faces have any specific identities? Castle histories give us 3 different ideas as to the identities of these profiles. The first idea is that these are characters inspired by the 19th century German picture book Max and Moritz. As a child, Mr. Hearst collected picture books, and Max and Moritz were among his favorite characters. In fact, in 1897, when Mr. Hearst was looking for a new comic strip for his New York Journal newspaper, he contacted an artist named Rudolf Dirks. Mr. Hearst asked Mr. Dirks to please use Max and Moritz as his inspiration for the new comic strip. The result? The Katzenjammer Kids, a comic strip that runs to this day in many U.S. newspapers. A second idea is that these are profiles of the different workers and artisans who were here on the hill during construction. Ed Trinkheller had a studio in Los Angeles where he did his work, but when work was completed, he did come to San Simeon in order to help install the pieces. It's possible that he did make the acquaintance of the other workers and artisans at that time. A third idea comes from Ed Trinkheller's daughter, Elsa. Elsa Trinkheller believes that these were images of famous and noteworthy people in history, some dating back as far as the ancient Greek and Roman empires. We may never know the real identity of these caricatures. However, there is one that is easily identifiable. At the bottom of the north gate is an image of Ed Trinkheller himself, complete with his goatee. Some artists like to work secretly, anonymously, and sometimes without permission, sneaking in a drawing or two when nobody's looking. We can find the perfect example of that in the Refectory in Casa Grande. The refectory was a dining room where Mr. Hearst's guests took their meals. On the north and south walls of the refectory are 15th century Spanish choir stalls. Mr. Hearst chose to use these in a decorative fashion as wainscoting, so guests would traditionally not have been sitting in these choir stalls. However, back in Spain, these did have a functional use as seats, both for clergy as well as choir members. During Gothic and Renaissance times, the choir would have consisted of men and boys. Church services would have been rather long and in Latin. Some of the younger members of the choir perhaps would become bored, and there were some members who chose to express themselves artistically during this time. Etched onto the choir stalls are various images. Some are names, some are dates. There is an image of a horse and a rider, and there is also an image of what may be either a clergyman or a soldier. Some of these are very well hidden, and we don't know if Mr. Hearst even knew they existed. They are important because they give us a glimpse into the past, and they also tell us that people from long ago are really not that different from people of today. While it's fun and exciting to explore and locate these images, I recommend that you not use this medium during your next long church service. We at Hearst Castle look forward to the time that we can safely reopen and begin to give tours again. Then you can have the opportunity to come and visit, take a tour, and explore and learn about the art collection of Mr. Hearst, both the serious as well as the whimsical. Until then, stay safe.